Hey, it's your girl Janae, and thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Professionally Childish. I have my wonderful in-studio guest, Miss Fancy.
Yay!
Do you want to introduce yourself again for the world? Or?
I am Fancy. Fancy is what Fancy does. Everything that I do speaks for itself, so I'm Fancy.
Hey, look, welcome, and thank you for coming in and sitting with me today. Before we jump into this week's episode, first, I'll start off on a happy note and a positive note. This episode will air before Christmas, so Merry Christmas to everyone. Merry Christmas to my friends and family who are overseas serving. We thank you for what you do. This is your shout out. I know it's a few people over there now,
Right.
And just thank you for what you do. And I know that you're missing your family and your loved ones, and just know that we are thinking of you. Also, in light of the recent stuff that's going on in the news, just to love on people, love on your family members, and just know that this time of the year is not always good for everyone.
That's right.
I think that like yesterday, with the news of DJ Twist and his death, it really brought forward, just the idea of men's mental health. And it's in the news a lot anyway, but I think that when a celebrity dies, then it really magnifies it. But I want to touch on that and just know, that if you need help, and I know it's hard to reach out sometimes, but if you need help and if you feel yourself getting to that point, find your safe space. Find that person in your life that is a safe space for you, and reach out. And for those of us who are the safe space, let it be known that, hey, I'm here for you. No matter the time, you can reach out and I'm here for you.
Right. And really be there.
That part, really be there.
Yeah.
With the ending of the year, I've been trying to wrap up on positivity, and having the people on this show that are positive and that pour in. And it's a lot of people in Columbus who don't get highlighted and aren't in the spotlight, but they are truly a light. And so that's what I've been focusing on for this month and closing out. And so that's why I have you here. Yay. Because excuse me, people know you, but they don't know you, and know your story and know really who you are. And people are like, she's always happy. She's always, she's always motivational. But within that, they don't know your story and what it took for you to get there.
Right.
And so that's what I want to talk about today.
Okay, that's fine.
Look, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with Fancy?
I want to start with just the point that you made. A lot of people don't know who you are, but sometimes we don't know who we are.
True.
Some things come natural. I think my ability to motivate and encourage people comes from a place from my childhood. I grew up kind of rough, saw a lot of heartache, I saw a lot of pain. My mama was a drug addict. She dated a lot of abusive men. So in my adulthood, or as I grew older, I intentionally want to always make someone else happy or make sure I stayed in a happy place because of what I experienced. So that's where that came from. So a lot of who I am and what I learned about, where I was going came from me, really finding out who I am, not just wanting to see peace, not just wanting to, because that's how I started. Just, I went through this, so I'm going to intentionally make sure all this is peaceful. But in the process of that, life still happens, and you have to learn how to manage, letting that happiness really be authentic and really be you. And that comes with understanding who you are and understanding your purpose. So it's kind of deep. And so sometimes, when people see people that's happy and upbeat all the time, they say, oh, that may be just a front, or no, I really enjoy peacefulness and happiness no matter what's going on. I have things every day in life that happens, but I choose, it's my choice to be happy and to encourage other people in spite of what I go through.
And that's true, because like I said, I think back to like when we first met, and look, like I always say, life was life.
Yeah, life was life.
Life was
like
life.
Let me tell you, Janae saw me, and some of my point, I'm happy and I'm upbeat, but I'm still human. So people still need people that they can trust and they can talk to. Everybody that say, hey, I'm here, they ain't there for real. You know what I'm saying? I've had conversations. You have to find that person that you really can trust. And that's the problem. Sometimes people don't realize or know, like, I can really trust them. If I really break down and let them see this side of me, what they going to do with it?
Right.
So you have to find, and I thank God for people just like Janae that I've been able to go to in my points of me feeling bad that kept me uplifted because they know I have a spirit that's always happy, So in my moments of saying like, girl, let me tell you, this got on my nerves and that, I was able to do that. So you got to know that you can trust people too, because it's not one time that I came to you and somebody else came back and told me what I said to you. So, so people can say, I'm here. I hate they did that. And I hate they could have came here. Could they have really come to you without you repeating it to somebody?
That part. And you know what? Because like as I was getting ready for today and to sit down and talk with you, like I went back to the conversations that we had back in the day. And I was like, we used to be talking.
Girl, we used to be talking, right. Tears and everything. That's what I'm saying, right.
Right. And so, it's like when you look back on that and you look at the journey, and I have enjoyed watching the journey.
Right.
And I think that a lot of times, especially with women, sometimes it's hard for women to watch and celebrate other women walk into their success and walk into into their promise and their purpose. And I can honestly say, like, I have enjoyed.
Wow, you see my whole journey from Fancy Fest when I first started and everything. And I was just having a conversation with somebody before I got here, and I was saying, for me, some people see a light in you and they'll never say, I see a light in you, or you wonderful, it's greatness in you. But then you have some people that you come across that say, you're bigger than that, you're better than that, you're great. And it's just, not that you don't know it yourself, but sometimes just that word from somebody else. And so I value people like you, and I value people like the person I was talking to, because a lot of times people can see greatness in you, and it's meant for them to say and encourage you, but they'll never say it to you because they don't want to see you here, or they may think, okay, that might make her go above me. But if it's purpose for me to be on this level, it's just meant to be. And there's nothing wrong with us pushing people there, because we can't reach everybody. It's people that I will be able to reach that you can't reach, and people that you'll be able to reach that I can't reach. But we have to be helpers one to another. But it don't always come across like that. You know what I'm just saying? It might be your one word that might change Fonda's and Fancy's life. You saying, you know what, girl? I love the way you motivate people. Keep doing it. Your push might be the thing that I need to get to the next level. But we so afraid to tell somebody, you got it, girl. So I value people like you. And it's not many people that I can go to and I can really be vulnerable with, and then they still think I'm great. So you done seen me cry. And it didn't change your perspective of me. It didn't change how you viewed me. It didn't say, oh, I knew it was something about her.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Never.
You listened to me in that moment, and I was still fancy to you. I was still great. I could still motivate others. You didn't judge me. And so I think that's where people are at sometimes. Like, who can I really go to if I'm really broken? And that's sad, but people say, I'm here, but are you really there? That's the part to think about. I'm making myself available, but am I really there? Can people really trust me?
And that's the thing. Like I was talking with Samika, and we were talking about just being authentically you,
right?
And owning that,
right?
And I remember when we were talking about Fancy,
right?
And look, and I want you to tell the people what it means.
I'm tell you about Fancy. So okay. Yeah. So Fancy, the acronym. Well, so I used to always at a beauty shop. My beautician, Malenka, she's a wonderful person here in Columbus area, just awesome, like just personality. I love Malenka. When I would go to her shop and get my hair done, she would always say, oh, that's Fancy. We would say, Fancy, that's Fancy. And I just kind of adopted the Fancy name. But one day I was in the parking lot at Janae's job, and the acronym came to me, finding a new confident you, embracing who God created you to be. And God gave it to me right then. Create a space where people can come to that can be inspired from every walk of life, not judged on their cars, not judged on what they got. So finding a new confident you. That's what Fancy means. Yep.
And I think I fell in love with it that day when you came in. You were like,
I was excited. Yeah.
And and I just think it's so important because, you know, like I've said plenty of times before, society puts this cap on who you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to dress, how you're supposed to walk, how you're supposed to talk, what success is, what it looks like when you've made it.
Right.
And it takes special people to pour into someone and meet them where they are.
Right. And that's my thing, meeting people where they are. And here's the thing about it, and I must admit, when God gave me the acronym, Finding a New Confident You, I didn't even know who I was. I had to be, and a lot of times we project things out, but don't realize that we the first partakers. I was so excited and enthusiastic about the fact that, I'm going to be able to pour into people, I'm going to be able to help them. But even in that, me be given that, I still didn't even know who I was. Confident on the outside, like you said, is appearance. And yeah, I'm going to make sure I'm happy, I'm great, I'm feeling good. But I still didn't even know who I was in that moment. And I didn't even think about it. I just was so excited about pouring into somebody else that I was like, I never thought about, what about me? And it was Samika. And we'll talk about that if you let me.
Yeah, you can.
So Samika, so one day, it was after I had done Fancy Fest 2 years. And I went to Samika's house, and I think I had just met Samika, and I was saying like, let me tell you a little bit about myself before you do my photo shoot, because so you can kind of vibe with me. And, I'm like, Fancy is this, and this is what I do, and I love pouring into people, and it was others. So Samika said, so when are you going to tell your story? In that moment, I was still. Now, mind you, I'm all happy, energetic. I was like, She was like, I said, no, Fancy Fest is about encouraging other people. She said, I get all that. You focusing on you don't take away from what you do for nobody else. But what about you? When are you going to tell your story? For the first time, somebody stopped me from focusing on others, and in that moment, made me focus on me. After she said that, like instantly, my mind just started like going all over the place. Like, oh my God, am I even qualified to tell people, or help people? Because I realized in that moment, like, you need help too. You're like, who are you? Do you know who you are? And so from that moment, my wheels started turning, and I had to go back to God and say, man, I never put myself in the equation of Fancy Fest, finding a new confident you. So I started having to peel back layers of myself to figure out who I am. So that's what I'm big on. I want to encourage you as I encourage myself. That's my message. I want to encourage you as I encourage myself, because a lot of times we project stuff out on people. Y'all need to do this, and let me teach you this. But are you implementing the things that you telling other people to do?
And that's the biggest part.
That's the biggest part.
The biggest part.
When Tamika said that to me, I had to like, let me check me. Self-evaluation is very important. And so from that point on, it changed the whole dynamic of Fancy Fest. Those first 2 years I did it, people were blessed because God still blessed, and I was obedient to do what he told me to do. But that third year, and I sat back after I talked to Samika, and it changed everything. That's when I went to the Trade Center. That's when I made sure I had a speaker that could impart really in people's lives, not just share their story, but that could impart into people's lives so they can leave different and not just get a message, but have something that'll change their life. And I invited Evangelist Latrice Ryan in for that third year. And it just has gone and grown every year since then, but every year is something more that I learn about myself too. So we're forever learning. Ain't nobody got it all together and got it there. You know what I'm just saying? So, so each year I've learned and become more confident than what I was the year before. I remember one year he gave me, it's easy to be a soldier when ain't no war going on. When God gave me that message, I was like, it's easy to be a soldier and a war going on. He said, yes. And then the next year, it was like, what do you do when the war is within? And I said, well, why do everything message for me has to do with war? He said, because a war is rememberable. People will fight and they'll get back together. People will fight and they might be friends next week. But with a war, we remember World War I. We studied World War II. It's more intense. So he said, even with the situation that we face in life, sometimes it seems like a war, but he wants us to remember and learn from them. So that's the key, learning from the things that you encounter. And some people say, well, I'm not going to act happy. That's a fact. That ain't fake. That's just, I choose, it's a choice, to be happy in spite of. Things happen, but you got to go on in spite of. That's where that confidence. But I got sense enough to know that everybody ain't on the same level.
Right. Everybody
there. On the same level. So that's why every day I want to encourage you as I encourage myself. But guess what? You can get better every day. Every little success counts. even if it's, hey, I'm not as mad as I was. I'm going to hug this person anyway. I'm going to love this person anyway. Every little success counts.
And look, and speaking of the I'm going to love in spite of.
Right.
That right there, y'all don't know. We're not going to go too deep into this right here.
Boo-boo.
But when I tell you that lesson right there, that was one that we learned together.
Yes.
And it's true. You hear the word frenemies and you hear that all the time, but there are people in your circle,
right,
who are only there to get your tea,
right,
who are only there to make sure that you are not getting more than them,
right,
and they secretly sabotage,
right,
and you have to learn how to operate in a way to where they can't knock you down.
They can't, right.
And if that means, like we used to do, cry in the office.
Right, and then go back out there.
And go back out there.
But let me tell you something. Then this week, I'm glad you brought up that point. I ain't trying to get scriptorial, but if the Bible says, what it says, I'll bless you in front of your enemies. I'm paraphrasing, but it's a scripture that in Psalms 23 where it says, I'll bless you in the presence of your enemies. So if your enemies ain't in front of you, how can he bless you in their presence? So just because your enemy is in front of you, that don't mean you have to get on the level with your enemy. You just smile and show up and be you in front of your enemy.
Mm-hmm.
They doing something to sabotage you. If you get at the sabotage, you thinking about what they're doing, you'll get off track. But you stand and you smile in spite of, just like you said, go in the room, cry, and come back out. They ain't got to see your tears. Let them see your success. Let them see you show them love in spite of. So if he going to bless me in the presence of my enemies, that means they got to be in front of me. So It ain't always bad that your enemies show up right in front of you. It's just how you handle them when they do.
Right. And that's the thing, especially like even when you talk about like branding, you have to be honest and true to who you are,
right,
because somebody will always remember an encounter with you,
right,
and they're going to bring it back up and be like, I that lady right there who says she's not, because on this day she did that.
They'll bring
and
it
they
up.
remember.
Right.
And it's usually when you at your lowest, when people come with the mess and you be like, hold on, let me check myself.
Right.
So that I can still, even in spite of my stuff going on, I can be the best representation of me, because this is who I want to be remembered as. And, as much as we like to say, whatever happened yesterday is gone, it's not.
They'll bring it back up. Yeah. Somebody going to remember. With you. Right. But then even, some people say, well, I ain't finna fake. This is who I am. This is what I do. No, but you have a choice to be intentional with your reactions, how you act. You know what I'm saying? Like, and some people say, well, I'm not going to fake. I'm not going to front. It's not fronting. It's just choosing to be different. Like I remember you were saying when you was going through a situation, oh, I ain't talking about you. I'm talking about how I felt in that moment. You know what I'm just saying? And you own up to how you handle that moment. It ain't nothing against you. And it offends people when you do it.
It
Why
does.
do it offend people when you...
And I don't know, but for 2022, I wanted to live intentionally.
Okay.
And so I had to take my eye off of what this person was doing, what that person was doing, because I've said it time and time again, 2022 was a lesson in people.
Right.
Because people really revealed who they were. And it's like, are you going to be the person to get distracted, like you said, and follow behind all the mess?
Right.
Or are you going to continue to stay on your path and what you said that you were going to do for you, and let those people do whatever?
Right.
So 2022, it has really been about, I don't really care if you like me.
Right.
I don't care if, I found out that along the journey I was a people pleaser.
Right.
And I was so concerned with they need me. And I was pouring.
Right.
But I was empty.
Right.
And when you are so focused on everybody else, it's because either you're afraid of who you are, or you're not in that place yet to where you can face yourself.
Right.
And so when you take that focus off and you really start pouring into you and doing the work that you need to do on yourself, you don't have time to worry about. Look, with Samika said, what the they are doing. And it's so true.
And it ain't your concern anyway. Why you worry about them anyway? You know? That's the harsh thing. Like, a lot of things we put emphasis on ain't our concern anyway. We set ourselves up, just like we intentionally do the things that we've done for so long. We have to undo those things. You know what I'm just saying? To be, we need to be. a lot of times, did what I found out, and it's true. And when we admit and we take self-evaluation of ourselves, some things that we do ain't nobody ask for. But if we're going to do it, they're going to let us. Who going to stop you?
Right.
Or I'm always pouring into people. You choose to do that. So why you mad at them for accepting it?
Right, because they didn't ask you.
They didn't ask you. But if you're going to give it, hey, I take it. So a lot of times we be mad at other people. Like, I gave and I gave and I gave to this relationship. I gave and I gave and I gave to this friendship. Didn't matter if you wouldn't have gave it, it would have still been all right. But you chose to do that, so why you mad at everybody else?
Right, I had to learn that one.
Right.
That's that people pleasing. I had to learn that.
It ain't your job to please people anyway. But you did it. But who gonna stop you?
Right.
Mm-hmm. So that's why you have to be intentional to say what, but it come with awareness and it come with time. Hey, what we talking about, we didn't get here overnight. we did not get here overnight. It's been a long journey and a process to get to this mindset. But what I'm saying is it's possible.
It is. And it goes back to, and it's something that you started. And I remember when you started this, I was looking at you like, this lady crazy.
Right. What did I do?
But remember, it was a time where you were saying that if you don't show up for you first,
right,
how can you be there for anyone else?
Right.
And you started with the affirmations,
right,
and you did it every morning.
Right.
And like I said, at first, I'd be like, here she go in that video.
See, let me tell you, Jinea, you hear me now because Greg, my husband, he told me, he said, you always start something you don't finish. And, see, that's what I'm saying. That's what I love about Jinea. You always bring me back to the place and the things, and that's good because sometimes you get so busy and so wrapped up that you'll lose yourself. So you need people to remind you, And Greg just said, he was like, you'll start something and you'll stop,
But your affirmations be everything. And
right.
I'd be like, at first I was like, there she go in that visor.
Right.
But then it really, it started kicking in. And I would look for it and be like, okay, well, she's doing her affirmations. Mm-hmm. And it is true. Right. Y'all, I promise you. I talked about as far as pouring in and truly manifesting the life that you want. Right. You have to be intentional. The words that you speak to yourself, you have to be intentional with them. Like I said, I have talked about the lessons of 2022. I'm probably gonna beat it to death. Right. But being intentional with your words, being intentional with your thoughts, being intentional with the people that you have in your life. Right. It will change everything for you. It will. And when it comes to speaking to yourself, you have to speak to yourself in love. Right. And the words that you say are the first thing that you hear, and it's the last thing that you hear. Right. And you have to make sure that you're speaking in the direction that you want to go in. And then you in control of your, even if you don't speak it out loud, you hear yourself inwardly. You hear yourself, I can do this. Everything ain't always spoken out loud. Your thoughts are still flowing even when you're not saying anything. So those thoughts, my daughter talked about intrusive thoughts, those thoughts that come unplanned. What do you do with those? I was like, wow, that's deep. I ain't never thought about that. Those thoughts that's randomly just come in your mind. How do you handle them? You got to be able to understand the power that you possess. And that's what I'm big on now, telling people how powerful they are. You got so much power. And people see that it work. My son, my 16-year-old, he was like, I want to go to work. I want to go to work. When football season was, he was like, I want to go to work. I ain't say nothing. He kept saying, I want a job. I want to start. I want to go ahead and start before Christmas. He started Monday. It was him speaking those things, not me saying, well, let me pray. Then he give me the credit for praying that something come available for him. But I wanted him to understand, you as an individual have so much power, but we give credit to everybody else when it go right. But when something go wrong, who we blame? Ourselves. Yes. You want to give somebody credit for something going good for you, but you want to blame yourself when something go wrong. Look, you just spoke a word right there because that's true. That's how we do. That's true. Oh, she must be doing something wrong. She must say prayer. Some people that pray still go through stuff. Sometimes God will allow you to go through stuff. Come on, Job. Just like Job. Job didn't do nothing to nobody, but he still experienced so much hardship. But we've emphasized, I must have did something wrong. And we beat ourselves up about choices we make. But some stuff is just a learning lesson, and we have to know that. But when we get a victory, it's because my mama taught me this. It's because my church was praying for me. It's because the evangelist said this. We'll give everybody else credit for the good instead of giving ourselves credit for the good. Oh, no, that was because I took a stand. Right. That because I believe. So with that same power that you used to say, well, I did that wrong, so that's why that didn't work right for me.
You take credit for the good stuff. And that's what'll change your perspective too. Start celebrating what you do and what you accomplish. If you're able to get up and go to work, I got to do this for my kids, but you the one still doing it.
Yep. Like I said, 2022 was just different.
Right.
It was different. And most people that I talked to, 2022 was just different.
It was very
2022 is what just made life different.
Right.
Just set stuff aside, and the focus was just different.
It was like a double dose of everything hitting you, you know. But it was for us to learn though.
Definitely.
Because if we didn't get it, I mean, you're gonna have to get lessons. I mean, you have opportunity. So I always tell people, take advantage of the opportunities. Don't just like, oh, that was that. No, just like we've been intentional to like say, hey, wait a minute, this happened, so let me grow from this. We got to be intentional with everything. And that's what 22 have been a year of intentions. There ain't no other way to put it.
No other way. and I've been saying it and saying it and saying it. It's no other way to put it. No other way. What do you have coming up? Look, my child is.
Oh, I know. That's all right. Look, so each year I do an event called Fancy Fest. That's finding a new confident you. It's a space that seeks to empower individuals to walk in their purpose, because each one of us, I don't care what you've done, I don't care what you've been through, I don't care what the society title or deem you as, there is a purpose for your life. I have been going down the road and somebody on the side of the road asking for change or say something to me, girl, you got a light on you. And it encouraged me. So what I'm saying is, even the people in the lowest situations can encourage and empower anybody. So at this event, it's geared toward empowering people from every walk of life. It ain't about appearance. It ain't about what you look like. It don't matter about your sexual preferences and your choices. There is a purpose for all of us, and it's so important to know the power that we possess and to walk forth in our purpose. So this event is March 11th at Columbus Convention and Trade Center. Last year, I started doing it in 2 parts. So I do a conference, like up in the day, 12 noon, and then that night I do a victory concert. And that's where you just come and just dance and have a good time. And I've been blessed to do this free.
Yes.
No sponsors. Somebody asked me yesterday, so who are your sponsors? I don't have any. When you follow the plan and the purpose for your life, God will make provision. Now, I can't say that word for everybody, but that's what worked for me. And so that's why I said that. People are like, well, you can get a sponsor. You can do. Well, how do you pay for it? God. Because I believe that in what I'm doing and the reason why he used me as the vessel to do it, so he always make provision and show favor. And so I'm able to do it free. So again, it's March 11th at the Columbus Convention and Trade Center, 12 noon for the, I'm doing like a day party this time. Like, yeah. Like I'm doing like a day praise party, up in the day, like socializing, networking. I got an activity that I want to do with everybody that's going to really bless them. Someone did it with me and it blessed me. And I want to share that activity with, those in attendance. And then at 6:30, I'll have the victory session where I have gospel groups coming in singing, and we just dance and have a good time. Pictures, photographers are there. I just want to create a space where people, like I said, from every walk of life. It don't matter. I mean, it ain't about a title. Like I tell people, I'm just fancy. What you do, I'm fancy. That's it. If I can say I'm fancy, that's enough. So you find whatever it is that make you feel good and make you feel confident. You just be you. I'm Jinea. And say it with a smile. You say it with confidence. Other people pick it up and they'll say, like when I say, oh, I'm fancy. What fancy mean? Find a new company. It's my enthusiasm that draw and pulls and put the energy out there. But if I say, oh, I'm fancy, so we the first partakers. We got to start with it if we want it. But just like I said, it got to be a choice and it got to be intentional. So again, that's March the 11th, 12 noon at Columbus Convention and Trade Center. Then another one at 6:30 p.m. So everybody's welcome to come. If you choose to come that particular day, you can. But I got registration that's open on Eventbrite. You put in Fancy Fest 2023, and it'll pop up all the information.
And look, before you go, let everybody know how they can find you.
Fancy is what Fancy does on Facebook, or Lafawnda Hugley on Facebook. Fancy the life coach. That's my Instagram handle.
Look, and we didn't even talk about your life coach. And look, that means you got to come back.
I do so much stuff. Look. And then now we don't even talk about the radio yet, but yeah,
right,
I do so much.
Back.
But any way I can reach people I want to be a part of it.
Definitely. Yep. Look, I thank you for coming. Look, I ain't seen you in a minute. I see you on social media.
I know.
But it was so good having you in here with me.
So glad to be here.
For those of you who already follow me, thank you. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at Professionally Childish 1. I'm on TikTok, Professionally Childish, and then on Facebook, Professionally Childish. And as always, you can look me up, Jinea Nikole. Again, y'all have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Y'all
and
be
Happy
blessed.
New
Look,
Year.
if I had my voice, I'd sing y'all some Christmas carols and stuff. But y'all be blessed and love the people who love you.
Right. And love those that don't.
Yeah, them too.
Yeah.